Ryan, can you come here for a second? Dad's voice called from the living room. I dropped my phone onto the couch, already dreading the interruption. What's up? I mumbled, dragging myself into the room. He looked unusually serious, though not in a good way. Laura and I decided to take Evan and Chloe on a short weekend trip, he said, trying to sound casual. Just the three of them. You should stay home, focus on your studies. I blinked. Wait, what? You're leaving me out. Dad's eyes avoided mine. It's better this way. You've got exams coming up. This isn't about leaving you out, Ryan. I wanted to shout. Better this way? You mean you'd rather go without me? Again? Laura, stepping in from the hallway, waved cheerfully. Oh, Ryan. Don't worry, sweetie. Evan's been counting the days. She glanced at him. You know how excited they are. I get it, I said, voice tight. You're excited. I get it. I don't understand why I'm not included. Evan jumped in, bouncing on his heels. We're going to the water park. You'd hate it anyway, Ryan. Chloe tugged at Laura's sleeve. Yeah, Big Brother's too boring. Her giggle cut deeper than I expected. Dad cleared his throat. Ryan, it's just for 2 nights. You can handle it. Handle it? I snapped. Handle being left behind while you guys have all the fun? Laura reached out. Honey, it's not like that. You've got so much to do. Your studies are important. I always have to stay behind. Evan and Chloe get all the trips, all the attention. I swallowed hard. I feel invisible. Dad rubbed his forehead. Ryan, it's not about ignoring you. You're old enough to focus on priorities. Priorities? My priorities are being in my own family, not sitting here alone while everyone else has fun. I could feel my chest tighten. Laura's voice softened. We're not trying to hurt you. Maybe next time you can join us. You'll understand, Ryan. I couldn't stand it. Understand? You've never understood. You never do. I stormed toward my room before I said something I'd regret. Later, Mason called, probably sensing my mood. Hey man, what's up? You sound off. I flopped onto my bed. Dad and Laura are taking Evan and Chloe on a weekend trip without me. No way. They didn't. Mason's voice was incredulous. That's messed up, dude. You should have gone. I know. But no. I'm stuck here with textbooks and homework while they're having the time of their lives. I clenched my fist. I hate feeling invisible in my own house. Come on, don't stew on it. Why not do something for yourself? Play some games, binge a series? I don't want to play games. I don't know. I just want them to notice me for once. My voice cracked. Is that so wrong? Whoa, easy. I get it, man. I really do. Just don't let it ruin your weekend. I can't help it. Every time they smile, laugh, pack their bags, it's like I'm not even here. I buried my face in the pillow. You're here, dude? I'm here. That counts for something, Mason said, quieter now. I stayed silent, staring at the ceiling, imagining them driving off, Evan yelling excitedly, Chloe shrieking at every little thing, Laura singing along to the radio. Dad waving, oblivious. I sighed, pulling the blanket closer. The house suddenly felt huge, empty, and unbearably quiet. My own room wasn't enough to shield me from the sting. I was alone this weekend, truly alone. I gritted my teeth. Maybe next time I'd make them notice. I sat at my desk, textbooks open, pencil in hand, staring at nothing. The numbers on the page blurred, and I heard Evan's laugh echoing from the group chat again. My phone buzzed, Dad's message. Study hard this weekend, Ryan. You'll thank me later. I stared at it, my stomach twisting. Thank you, Dad, I muttered under my breath, sarcasm dripping. Mason called just as I shoved my pencil down. Yo, you good man? You sound off. I'm fantastic, I snapped. Everyone else gets fun trips and I get textbooks. Dude, chill. At least you're not stuck in a van listening to Evan scream. Yeah, lucky me, I muttered, flopping back in my chair. I just can't focus. It's like the house is empty, but not really. Their laughter keeps following me. You could, distract yourself. Games, movies. I tried, I said, slamming the controller on the desk. But it's pointless. Every time I pick up a game, I see the posts Laura's putting up online. They're smiling, laughing, having fun, without me. Mason was quiet for a moment. I get it, man. That sucks. It's more than that. It's like, I don't exist to them. I'm just the kid left behind while everyone else has fun. My hands shook slightly. I hate it. I hate feeling invisible. There was a pause. Have you talked to them? Like really told them how you feel? Mason asked. I laughed bitterly. Why bother? Dad's already decided I stay here. Laura's too busy taking pictures with Evan and Chloe. They don't even notice me half the time. My thumb hovered over the phone screen, scrolling through Laura's posts. There was Evan wearing a goofy hat, Chloe holding an ice cream cone, Laura smiling as if the world was perfect. My chest tightened. I get it, I muttered. They're happy. I should be happy for them. But I'm not. I can't be. I feel replaced. Mason's voice softened. You're not replaced, Ryan. You're just kind of left out this weekend. That doesn't make you any less important. I know, but knowing doesn't help. I stared at the wall. It just burns. I tried to get back to studying. Pencil to paper. Numbers and letters danced and refused to make sense. My mom's voice drifted in my memory, soft and warm. You're never alone, Ryan. You're stronger than you think. I swallowed hard, trying to push the sting of loss aside, but it mixed with my irritation at Laura. Why can't she just see me? I muttered aloud. Why is she so focused on Evan and Chloe? The phone buzzed again. Another photo. Chloe with whipped cream on her nose. Evan making a face like he'd just conquered the world. Laura laughing behind them, oblivious to me scrolling and fuming in the living room. I tossed my pencil aside. I can't just sit here. I stood, pacing, fists clenched. I need something. Anything. I can't let them think I don't care. I won't be invisible. Mason spoke quietly. Careful, dude. Don't let anger do things you'll regret. I'm not. I don't care, I said, though my voice betrayed me. I just need them to notice me somehow. If I can't be there, I'll make them see me in another way. The house felt too quiet. The shadows grew longer. Outside, the wind rattled the windows and I felt smaller than ever. But beneath that, a spark, a burning need to assert myself, started to flicker. I clenched my fist, staring at Laura's posts one more time. You'll notice me, I whispered, voice low and determined. Even if it's the last thing you see. My phone buzzed and I froze. It was a message from Dad. Hope you're doing well. Evan and Chloe are excited for the trip. Stay focused on your studies. I threw the phone onto the bed, heart thumping. What the hell? I muttered. Did he even think I wanted to go? Mason called right after, probably sensing my mood. Yo, Ryan. You sound off again. What's up now? I grabbed my phone. Dad knew I asked to go. He just ignored me. He chose Evan and Chloe over me. Again. Wait, he knew you asked? Mason sounded shocked. Seriously? Yes. I asked last week, told him I wanted to go, and he just, nothing. Not even a we'll think about it. I ran a hand through my hair, pacing. I feel replaced. Like I don't even exist to them. Mason sighed. Man, that's harsh. You can't just sit there feeling sorry for yourself. Why not? They're laughing, taking pictures, having fun, and I'm stuck here being the responsible one. The boring one. The invisible one. I slammed my fist on the desk. It's not fair. Fair? Mason laughed nervously. Ryan, life's rarely fair. But ignoring it won't help. I glared at him through the phone. You don't get it? Dad knew I wanted to go. He chose them. I'm the afterthought, Mason. I'm always the afterthought. Okay, calm down. What are you gonna do about it? I froze. Do something? What could I do? I don't know yet. But I can't just sit here. Not anymore. Mason's voice softened. Look, maybe it's not about the trip. Maybe it's about making them notice you differently. You gotta be smarter, not angrier. I'm already angry, I muttered. And it feels good in a way. Like fire in my chest. I don't just want to be noticed. I want them to realize they can't ignore me. Mason chuckled. Careful. Don't let that fire burn you instead. I ignored him, staring at the blank wall. Memories of Mom surfaced again, mixing with my frustration. She'd always told me, you don't need anyone's permission to matter. But Dad's betrayal twisted that comfort into guilt and bitterness. I dialed Dad. Hey, we need to talk. Ryan, what's wrong now? His voice was casual, like nothing mattered. Wrong? Dad, you knew I wanted to go on that trip. You just ignored me. My voice cracked, anger spilling out. Why? Why is it always about Evan and Chloe? Dad sighed. Ryan, it's not a big deal. You're staying home because you need to study. Priorities, remember? Priorities? I yelled. You mean leaving me out, pretending I don't matter? That's your priority? Ryan, calm down. You're overreacting, he said, his tone brushing past my feelings. Overreacting? I shouted. You're the one replacing me. You're the one deciding I'm less important than them. There was silence. Then, Ryan, you'll understand when you're older. I hung up, breathing hard, fists clenched. My chest burned. I felt hollow and enraged at the same time. I'd been betrayed, dismissed by the one person I trusted most. Mason's call came again. Ryan, you okay? You sound like you just got punched in the gut. I am punched, I muttered, pacing the room. I'm punched by Dad, by Laura, by everyone acting like I'm secondary. I can't just let it slide. I won't. All right, Mason said cautiously. So, what now? I paused, eyes narrowing. I'm going to make them notice me. Not in some stupid shouting way, but subtle. They'll see me, Mason. They'll see I matter. Careful, man. Don't let this spiral too far, Mason warned. I know, I said, though my tone didn't sound convincing even to me. But it's too late for regret. I've waited too long to be treated like I'm invisible. This weekend, I start asserting myself. The silence of the house pressed in. Outside, the distant laughter from Laura's post seemed to echo in my mind. And beneath the sting, a dangerous spark lit inside me, a mix of anger, determination, and something I hadn't felt in a long time, the need to reclaim my place. The classroom felt smaller than usual today. I stared at the chalkboard, tracing the equations with my finger, trying not to think about the trip posts Laura had uploaded last night. Evan laughing, Chloe smiling, Dad pretending everything was fine. It all burned in my chest. Ryan, what do you think? Olivia Parker's voice cut through my thoughts. I blinked. Oh, I guess, the answer's 23. I said, unsure if I'd even done the math right. Olivia smirked. Wow, Ryan, always the perfect student. Bet your weekend plans are just textbooks and homework. Ha. I froze. Yeah, I guess. My jaw tightened. Why would you care? I'm just saying, she said lightly, tilting her head. It must be boring staying home all alone while everyone else goes on fun trips. Boring? She didn't know the half of it. Yet, boring, I muttered, my voice flat. Olivia leaned back in her chair, smirking again. Maybe you're secretly jealous. I gritted my teeth. Maybe, I said quietly, my fingers curling around my pencil. Later, when the class discussion ended, I stayed behind, staring out the window. I remembered Mom, her laugh, the way she tucked my hair behind my ear when I was frustrated. You're strong, Ryan, she used to say. Stronger than anyone realizes. I swallowed hard, the memory twisting with the sting of Dad's and Laura's obliviousness. Mason's text buzzed. You good, man? I typed back, I don't know. Everything feels hollow. Even school. Even my own family. He replied almost immediately. Sounds rough. But maybe hollow isn't all bad. You can fill it your way. I stared at the screen. Fill it my way. Could I? Or would I just let anger and jealousy consume me? Back in class, Olivia caught my gaze. Still thinking about that trip thing? She asked casually. I forced a shrug. Not really. My stomach twisted. Just memories, I guess. Oh. She raised an eyebrow. Memories can be powerful. And painful. Yeah, I muttered. Painful was right. I thought about all the times I'd tried to be the good son for Dad, straight A's, helping around the house, keeping quiet when I felt hurt. And what did it get me? A weekend alone while everyone else had fun. I realized then that trying to earn Dad's attention never felt enough. You okay? Olivia asked, her voice softening. I shrugged again, forcing a smile. I will be. Not true yet, but maybe someday. Her smirk returned, teasing. You know, Ryan, you don't have to compete with anyone. Not your dad, not your siblings, not even me. Easy for you to say, I muttered, but her words lingered. Maybe resentment didn't have to own me. Maybe I could channel this anger, this jealousy, into something I controlled. Ryan. The teacher's voice pulled me out of my thoughts. Question for the class. I answered, careful, precise. Olivia watched me, expression unreadable. I realized she wasn't mocking. She was nudging me in her own way to think differently. After class, I walked to the lockers, Mason waiting. So, survived Olivia's little jab fest? He asked, grinning. Barely, I said, closing my locker. But she might be right. I can't just stew on this forever. Mason raised an eyebrow. Finally. You're starting to think instead of explode. That's progress, man. I smirked faintly. Maybe. I need to figure out how to turn all this hollow space, all this anger, into something that actually matters. Mason shrugged. Sounds complicated, but knowing you, you'll figure it out. I looked at the empty hallway ahead, memories of Mom mixing with jealousy and the sting of the trip. My fists unclenched, chest still tight but lighter. For the first time this weekend, I felt a small flicker of control. Not revenge. Not resentment. Something else. Something mine. I sat at my desk, staring at my laptop, a small smirk tugging at my lips. Mason's last call still echoed in my head, warning me to stay out of trouble. But I couldn't resist. Laura's latest social media post, Evan with whipped cream on his nose, Chloe holding a sparkling souvenir, was perfect. Maybe, I muttered aloud. Just a little tweak. Nothing serious. Mason's voice buzzed through my phone. Ryan? You sound sketchy. What are you up to? Nothing. Just messing with a post, I said quickly, hiding the browser tab. Messing with it? Dude, seriously? What's wrong with you? Relax. It's harmless. I just want them to notice me somehow, I said, trying to sound casual. My hands shook slightly as I typed. Mason sighed. You're talking about revenge, aren't you? No. Not revenge, I muttered, but even I could hear the lie. It's control. I can't be there, so at least this. I trailed off, hovering over the final click. Ryan, think. Karma has a way of biting back. You don't want to spiral. I paused, fingers trembling. I know. But they don't even realize I exist sometimes. Maybe if I just shift this a little, they'll notice. Just a spark. Mason's silence over the line made me squirm. You're messing with people who don't know you're hurting, he said finally. Think about that. I clicked. The post vanished, replaced by a small glitchy version of itself. Satisfaction buzzed in my chest. A sense of power I hadn't felt all weekend. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling, a grin slowly forming. You're insane, I muttered, shaking my head. And it feels good. Then came the pang of guilt. Almost immediate. My chest tightened, my stomach churning. What if this goes too far? I whispered. What if they see it? Or worse, what if it proves nothing and I just ruin things? Mason's call buzzed again. Dude, you okay? You sound weird. I'm fine, I said quickly, voice tighter than I wanted. Just thinking. Thinking about messing with them again? He asked carefully. I exhaled sharply. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. It's just, I clenched my fists. I can't shake this feeling that I'm invisible. That Dad and Laura and even Evan and Chloe, they just forget I exist. It's not fair. I get that, Mason said softly. But messing with posts, trying to get them to notice, that's not fairness, Ryan. That's anger. And anger can backfire. I leaned forward, resting my forehead on the desk. I know it's wrong. But it's the only thing I can do that doesn't make me powerless. At least it feels like something. Anything. Feeling like something isn't the same as being something, Mason said. You don't have to prove anything by sabotaging them. I stared at the screen, the altered post still there, flickering like a warning. My thumb hovered over the undo button. I thought about karma, about fairness, about Mom. She'd always said, Ryan, you can't control what others do, only how you act. A tight knot formed in my stomach. Maybe the family didn't intentionally hurt me. Maybe Dad was oblivious, Laura was busy, Evan and Chloe were just kids. But the pain? That was real. Maybe I shouldn't do this, I whispered, finally clicking undo. The post restored itself instantly, perfect and cheerful. My chest loosened slightly, but the anger didn't vanish. Mason's voice was calm over the line. See? You didn't ruin anything. You just paused. I exhaled, running a hand through my hair. Yeah, paused. But the anger is still there. I can't just ignore it. No, you don't have to ignore it. You just have to channel it. I sat back, staring at the ceiling. Mason was right. Acting out had been satisfying for a moment, but the guilt was heavier. Maybe I could use this energy differently. For once, I didn't need to sabotage, to lash out, or to prove something. Maybe I could turn the anger into control in a way that actually mattered. I clenched my fists again, but this time it felt different. Focused. Purposeful. The post was fixed, but me? I wasn't finished figuring out how to make them see me. I was walking home, earbuds in, trying to drown out thoughts of the weekend. The street felt emptier than usual, shadows stretching longer than they should. My phone buzzed, but I ignored it, needing silence. Well, Ryan Carter, a voice called from behind. My stomach sank. Tyler Morgan. I stopped. What do you want, Tyler? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Tyler smirked, stepping closer. Just enjoying a little stroll, huh? Or are you sulking again because your perfect family forgot you exist? I felt heat crawl up my neck. That's not, I cut myself off. Tyler had a way of hitting exactly where it hurt. "Come on, Ryan," he taunted, circling me like a predator. "You can't fool me. I see it. That jealousy, that anger, you're a mess." I clenched my fist. "I'm not a mess," I snapped. "I'm fine." Tyler laughed, a sharp, mocking sound. "Sure, fine. Left behind again while everyone else has fun, huh? I'd cry too if my family ignored me." My chest tightened. "You don't know anything about me," I shouted, stepping closer. "Do I?" Tyler raised an eyebrow. "I know enough. You're always trying so hard to be perfect for your dad. And for what? 2 nights alone while Evan and Chloe get the spotlight." My hands shook and my vision blurred slightly. "Shut up," I yelled. "Just shut up." Tyler's smirk widened. "Or what, Ryan? You gonna explode? Go on, try it." I didn't think. I swung my fist, catching him in the shoulder. Tyler staggered, surprised, but then he grinned again. "Finally. Some fire in you. You think this is funny?" I yelled, chest heaving. "I'm not a joke." "Relax," he said, raising his hands mockingly. "I'm just saying, maybe you need to learn who's really in control. You can't control your family, Ryan. But at least you can get a reaction." I felt my anger surge, hot and reckless. "I don't need your lessons," I shouted. I swung again, narrowly missing. Tyler stepped back, taunting me further. "You're predictable," he said, smirking. "Anger makes you sloppy. Your dad doesn't even need to ignore you. You'll punish yourself just fine." I froze. His words stung worse than any punch could. He knew exactly how to push me over the edge. My fists unclenched, trembling. I wanted to hit him again, scream, do something. But the fire in my chest mingled with something else. Fear, guilt, and a sudden clarity. "You're an idiot," I muttered, voice low. "You don't even know me." Tyler shrugged. "Maybe. But I know enough to watch you crumble." I stepped back, chest heaving, hands shaking. "I'm done," I said finally, voice quieter but firm. "I'm not giving you this satisfaction." Tyler's smirk didn't falter. "Whatever, Ryan. Don't think this changes anything. You're still small." He turned and walked away, whistling casually. I sank against the wall, sliding down to the sidewalk, feeling hollow. My chest still burned and my hands ached from the tension I'd let go. The encounter left me rattled more than I wanted to admit. Mason's text buzzed in my pocket. "You okay, man? Sounds like trouble." I typed back slowly, "I think so." Tyler got under my skin. More than I expected. I stared at the pavement, replaying the confrontation. Tyler's words echoed in my mind, reflecting the betrayal I felt from Dad and Laura. I realized how reckless I'd been, letting anger guide me. It wasn't just jealousy or resentment anymore, it was impulsive, dangerous. But beneath the shake, a new thought formed. I couldn't control my family and I couldn't control Tyler. What I could control was myself. That fire inside me, that anger, maybe it wasn't useless after all. Maybe I could shape it into something that actually mattered instead of letting it destroy me. I stood, brushing dirt from my jeans, chest still tight but clearer. The street seemed quieter now, shadows less threatening. Tyler was gone, but the lesson lingered. Recklessness had a price and my anger needed direction. I slumped into the empty classroom after lunch, dragging my bag behind me. The hallway felt loud even though I was alone. Samantha Green, my English teacher, looked up from her desk, eyes narrowing slightly. "Ryan," she said softly, "are you okay? You've seemed distant all week." I froze, shifting uncomfortably. "I'm fine," I muttered, avoiding her gaze. "You don't sound fine," she said, standing and walking toward me. "It's not just your grades I notice. You're distracted, angry, hurt." I laughed bitterly, a short, sharp sound. "Yeah, well, you don't know my family." "Try me," she said calmly. "I can listen. No judgment." I shrugged, looking down at my shoes. "It's nothing. Just complicated." "Complicated enough to make you shut down," Samantha Green said, tilting her head. "Ryan, sometimes talking isn't enough. Writing can help too." "Writing?" I asked, voice flat. "Yes," she said. "Write what you feel. Don't filter it. Bitterness, anger, jealousy, sadness, whatever's in your chest. Let it out on paper." I shook my head. I don't know how that helps." "You don't have to know," she said gently. "Just try. Even 10 minutes a day. Write to understand yourself, not to hurt anyone else." I hesitated, chest tight. But something in her eyes, patient, calm, almost kind, made me nod. "Okay, I'll try. But only because you asked." She smiled faintly. "Good. Bring it to me when you want feedback, or don't. It's for you first. That night, I pulled out my notebook, pen in hand. The page stared back, blank and accusing. I took a deep breath and started. I feel invisible. Dad ignores me. Laura doesn't even see me. Evan and Chloe, they exist in this perfect bubble while I'm stuck on the sidelines. I wrote, letting the words flow raw and jagged. I'm angry, jealous, bitter. I don't want revenge, but I want recognition. I want someone to notice me, not because I'm perfect, but because I exist. The words shocked me. Writing them down made them heavier and clearer. I realized the anger I'd felt toward Tyler, the impulsive attempts at control, they weren't about them. They were about me wanting to matter. I paused, pen hovering. I don't need revenge. I need acknowledgement, respect, connection. The realization hit hard. Recognition, not revenge. That's what I wanted. Not to sabotage posts, not to lash out at Tyler, not even to prove something to Dad or Laura. Just to exist in a way that mattered. The next day, Samantha Green asked me how it went. Good, she said, raising an eyebrow. Better than I thought, I admitted. It's strange. Seeing it on paper makes it feel real but manageable. That's the point, she said. You understand yourself better when you confront your feelings rather than letting them control you. I think I get it, I said slowly. It's not about hurting anyone else. It's about knowing what I want and how to get there, without losing myself. Samantha Green nodded. Exactly. You don't have to act on impulse anymore. You can choose your steps carefully. I felt a flicker of something unfamiliar. Hope. Maybe I could channel all this anger and jealousy into something meaningful. Something that didn't leave me hollow and regretful. Thanks, I said quietly. I appreciate this. Anytime, Ryan, she said, smiling. Remember, your feelings matter. You matter. I closed my notebook later that night, chest lighter than it had been in days. Recognition, not revenge. The words repeated in my mind, steady and grounding. I finally felt a small measure of clarity, and for the first time this weekend, a direction. I took a deep breath before entering the kitchen. Dad was sitting at the table, scrolling on his phone, a mug of coffee steaming beside him. The house smelled like breakfast, bacon and toast, but it didn't calm me. Not yet. Hey Ryan, Dad said, glancing up. Coffee? No thanks, I said, keeping my voice steady. He raised an eyebrow. You okay? You've been quiet all weekend. I swallowed. I want to talk. Dad set his phone down, his expression shifting from casual to cautious. Sure. What's on your mind? I sat across from him, fingers folded on the table. I want to be honest this time. Calmly. I've been upset about the trip. He sighed. Ryan, we already talked about this. You're staying home to focus on your studies. That's important. I know that, I said quickly. But it's not just that. I felt excluded. Ignored. Like my feelings didn't matter. Dad blinked, clearly caught off guard. Excluded? Yes, I said, meeting his eyes. When you and Laura left with Evan and Chloe, I realized I've been trying to be the perfect son, trying to do everything right, and it never feels like enough. I want to matter, Dad. Not just for grades or rules, but to feel like I'm part of this family. Dad leaned back, rubbing his temples. I didn't realize you felt that way. I know, I said, voice softer. And I'm not angry anymore, not like before. But I've decided I need to assert myself. Calmly, without bitterness. I can't let resentment control me. He was silent for a long moment. Ryan. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to ignore you. I thought you'd rather stay home. You never complain, never say anything. I tried, I said. But it never felt enough. I know now I can't wait for you to notice me. I need to step forward myself. Dad's eyes softened, vulnerability flickering there for the first time in years. I don't want you to feel invisible. I see you, Ryan. I promise I'll try harder. I nodded, chest lighter than it had been in days. Thanks, Dad. That's more than I expected. He smiled faintly, still cautious. I guess I needed this too. To hear you clearly without all the anger. Exactly, I said, feeling a small surge of control. I can't change the past, but I can change how I act from now on. That's enough for me, and maybe for all of us. Dad nodded slowly, sipping his coffee. I'm proud of you, Ryan. Not for grades or behavior, for honesty. For courage. The words warmed my chest. For the first time, I felt a balance. Anger tempered by understanding, resentment softened into clarity. Later that afternoon, I started planning a small surprise for Evan and Chloe. It wasn't revenge, it wasn't control, it was care. A pizza night with movies, just the three of us, to show them I could be present and positive even if I'd been left out. Mason's text buzzed. Sounds like you're turning a corner, man. I typed back, yeah, finally. I can act without the fire burning me first. The planning distracted me, energized me. I picked out their favorite toppings, planned games and movies, even thought about making a small handwritten card for each. The idea wasn't about getting their attention in a dramatic way, it was about showing love in my own way, taking control of what I could. When I looked at the empty living room later, I felt lighter. The trip had happened, Dad had ignored me, but I wasn't powerless anymore. I had my choices, my actions, and my ability to influence my life positively. I glanced at the calendar on my wall, marking the night for my little surprise. Even though it was simple, it meant something. It meant I existed, I mattered, and I could act on that without bitterness. Dad peeked into the living room. Ryan, I'm glad we talked. Me too, I said, smiling. Me too. For the first time all weekend, the house didn't feel like it was against me. It felt like a place where I could finally start steering my own path, where recognition wouldn't come from anger or revenge, but from presence, care, and choice. And for the first time, I felt like I wasn't just surviving the weekend, I was taking charge of it. I waited until the house was quiet before I started. The living room smelled faintly of the day's lingering warmth, sunlight streaming in through the windows. Evan and Chloe's favorite board game sat on the coffee table, a few snacks I'd picked up secretly beside it. Okay, this is it, I muttered, arranging everything just so. They'll notice. They'll actually notice. I left a small note beside the snacks. For some fun when you get back. Love, Ryan. My chest felt lighter than it had all week. For once, this wasn't about anger or revenge. It was about care. The door clicked and I heard footsteps. Chloe's high-pitched excitement reached me first. Ryan. Look at this, she shouted, spotting the snacks and board game. Evan appeared next, eyes wide. Whoa, did you do all this? I stepped out from behind the couch, trying to act casual. Yeah, thought it might be fun, I said, voice steady but my heart racing. Chloe ran up and hugged me. Thank you, Ryan. You're the best brother ever. I blinked, surprised by the hug. You're welcome, I said, trying not to let my own smile give me away. Evan grinned, grabbing a handful of chips. This is awesome. Seriously, you did all this for us. Yeah, I said. Just wanted to do something nice. Chloe bounced in place. Can we play now? Please? Sure, I said, my chest swelling with warmth I hadn't felt in days. I grabbed the dice, sliding them across the table, trying to act like this was normal, but every laugh and happy squeal from them made me feel appreciated. Laura and Dad walked in holding grocery bags. Laura's eyes widened. Ryan, did you do all this? I nodded, trying to keep my voice casual. Yeah. Just thought it'd be nice for them. David smiled faintly, looking genuinely surprised. I didn't expect this. Thought you were upset all weekend. I admitted, but I realized I can do something positive instead of stewing. Laura shook her head, smiling softly. I didn't know you cared this much. I underestimated you, Ryan. The warmth in their voices made my chest tighten, not with resentment but with pride and clarity. I finally felt acknowledged, not for grades or being the perfect son, but for being thoughtful. For being me. Evan nudged me. This is amazing. We should do this more often. Yeah, Chloe said, munching on chips. You're fun when you're not sulking. I laughed quietly. I'm glad you think so. Dad crouched slightly to my level. Ryan, I'm proud of you. You didn't need to do this to get our attention. But I'm glad you did. Shows initiative, thoughtfulness, and growth. Thanks, Dad, I said quietly, meaning it more than I could express. Laura added, I'll make sure to pay more attention from now on. You've got a lot to offer, Ryan. And this reminded us. The siblings dived into the board game, laughing, bickering over the rules, their joy filling the room. I watched, smiling softly, my chest lighter than it had been in days. The power shift wasn't dramatic or loud, it was subtle, emotional, real. For the first time, I felt in control of my own presence in this family. My actions mattered. My choices were acknowledged. The distance I'd felt all weekend, ignored, sidelined, started to close just a little with each laugh, each shared smile, each small glance of appreciation. Mason's text buzzed on my phone. Looks like you scored a win, man. I typed back, yeah, feels better than any revenge or post-tweaks ever did. I sank into the couch, watching Evan and Chloe argue over the next move in the game. Laura and Dad exchanged small, meaningful glances. I didn't need grand gestures or dramatic confrontations. I'd found my small victory, one built on thoughtfulness, patience, and care, and for the first time this weekend I felt truly present. This was only the beginning, but it was enough. I walked into the cafeteria, the hum of students chatting around me. My tray clutched loosely. I noticed Tyler Morgan at a table, red-faced, arguing with some of the football team over a lost bet. His usual smug grin was gone, replaced by frustration and embarrassment. I felt the first twinge of satisfaction, but it was muted. "Wow," Mason said, sliding into the seat across from me. "Look at Tyler. Finally getting a taste of his own medicine." I shrugged, trying to keep my expression neutral. "Yeah, I guess. Mason raised an eyebrow. "Come on, man. You look like you want to laugh." "I don't," I said quickly. "I mean, it's not funny. It's consequences. He's getting what he deserves, but it doesn't make me happy." Mason leaned back. "You sound different. Like you're seeing it a little clearer." I nodded, chewing slowly. I realized something. Revenge feels good in the moment, but it's empty. Seeing Tyler stumble doesn't fix anything I felt with my family. It doesn't make the weekend better." Mason smirked. "So you've leveled up emotionally. Congrats." "Maybe," I muttered. I see things differently now. Family is imperfect. People make mistakes. Betrayal isn't always intentional. And self-respect matters more than lashing out. Across the cafeteria, Tyler slammed his tray down, muttering something under his breath. His arrogance had indeed backfired, but I felt nothing but clarity. I didn't want to gloat. I didn't want to rub it in. It was a natural consequence, and I let it be. "Ryan," Mason said quietly, "you're not even smiling." "I'm not," I said honestly. I used to think satisfaction came from revenge. Or proving something. But it doesn't. I don't need him to fall to feel validated. I feel enough. Mason nodded slowly. "I get that. You're growing up, man." I glanced down at my hands, thinking about the weekend. The trips, the exclusion, the small acts of kindness I planned for Evan and Chloe, it all added up. I realized that asserting myself didn't mean hurting anyone else. It meant being present, thoughtful, and patient. "Looks like you've got it figured out," Mason said, tossing a fry into his mouth. "Even with your dad and stepmom?" "I think so," I replied. "Talking to Dad, showing Evan and Chloe I care. It's about presence, not proving a point. I can influence my family without bitterness." Across the room, Tyler's voice rose in frustration again. Some of the football players rolled their eyes, clearly done with his attitude. It was karma, subtle and natural. I let it happen without thinking of it as my victory. I leaned back, taking a deep breath. I think the biggest lesson is this. Life isn't fair, people aren't perfect, and mistakes happen. But I can choose how I react. That's my power. Mason smiled, shaking his head. "You've gone from angry mess to philosopher in like a week." I chuckled softly. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm just learning that control doesn't come from anger. It comes from understanding and self-respect." The bell rang, signaling the end of lunch. I gathered my tray, glancing once more at Tyler. He was still flustered, but I felt no urge to watch, no desire to laugh. I walked away feeling lighter. Outside, sunlight hit my face, warm and steady. I thought of Evan and Chloe, the little surprise night I planned, the talks with Dad, and even Samantha Green's guidance. All of it had shaped me, reminding me that karma works naturally, and resentment is only heavy if I carry it. I smiled faintly. Not because anyone else changed, not because Tyler stumbled, but because I did. I felt a sense of closure, quiet and deep. Life would continue, imperfect and unpredictable, but I was ready for it. More aware, more patient, and finally, enough. I heard the front door click and looked up. Laura was carrying a laundry basket, her face soft but hesitant. "Ryan," she said gently, "can we talk for a minute?" I paused, unsure. "Sure." She set the basket down and took a deep breath. I realized I might have been excluding you. Not intentionally, but I see how it looked. "I'm sorry." I blinked, caught off guard. You're apologizing?" "Yes," she said, voice sincere. "I never wanted you to feel sidelined. I see now that I didn't consider your feelings enough, and I regret that." I swallowed. My chest felt tight. "Thanks, Laura. I guess I needed to hear that. I was bitter before, and maybe I let it grow too much." She nodded, stepping closer. "It's okay to feel that way. You've been through a lot with everything, your mom, dad, all the changes. I looked at her, noticing the genuine concern in her eyes. Yeah, it's just, I felt like no one saw me. Like I was invisible. Laura reached out, lightly touching my arm. I promise you're not invisible, Ryan. I want to understand you better. I want to be part of your life, not just the kids. I felt something warm in my chest. I appreciate that. Really. It means a lot. She smiled softly. And you've grown so much this weekend. I saw you plan that surprise for Evan and Chloe. Thoughtfulness like that, it shows your heart. I shrugged, trying to act casual but unable to hide my pride. It wasn't about showing off. I just wanted them to feel included too. I realized that helping someone else actually made me feel better. Laura's eyes softened. You've taught me something too, Ryan. I need to pay more attention, notice more. Thank you for that. The words lingered, and for the first time in days, I felt a gentle closure forming. Later, Dad appeared in the doorway, coffee in hand, a small smile on his face. Ryan, can I sit for a moment? I nodded, gesturing to the chair across from him. He took a slow sip, then said, I've been thinking about our conversation earlier this week, about how you felt excluded. I know, Dad, I said quietly. I've been working through it. I want you to know. I'm proud of you. Not just for grades or accomplishments, but for how you handled all this. Your patience, your thoughtfulness, it's remarkable. I blinked, heart tightening. Thanks, Dad. That really means a lot. I think I understand a lot more now. About you, about me, about us. He leaned back, expression softening. I hope so. I never wanted you to feel like you weren't enough. I see now that listening and noticing matters more than I realized. I get that, I said. I also get that my past bitterness, it shaped me. Helped me see what I want. Recognition, not revenge. Connection, not control. Dad nodded slowly. I'm glad you're learning that. And I'm glad we're talking like this. I felt a deep sense of warmth, bittersweet but grounding. Me too. It's not perfect, but it's real. And that's enough. We sat for a few moments in quiet, letting the silence speak, the comfort and shared understanding filling the space. Later, Evan and Chloe bounded into the room, squealing about some silly game they'd played. I laughed, ruffling Chloe's hair. Evan nudged me. You're the best, Ryan. Seriously. Laura smiled at me, eyes bright. See? You matter. You've always mattered. I looked at Dad, then back at my siblings and stepmom and felt it, the subtle, steady shift in our family. I felt stronger, more grounded, like I could finally breathe in my place without tension or fear. I stepped forward, wrapping my arms around Laura, then Dad, holding them both briefly. I love you guys. And I'm ready for whatever comes next. They hugged me back, and for the first time I didn't feel invisible, sidelined, or bitter. I felt whole. The past weekend, the exclusion, the resentment, all of it had brought me here. To understanding, to connection, to emotional closure. I pulled back, smiling softly, heart lighter than it had been in months. The house felt warm, safe, and alive, not because of perfection but because of honesty, presence, and care. I finally felt at peace. The first day back at school felt different. I walked down the hallway, books pressed to my chest, noticing the usual chatter, the slamming lockers, the laughter, but it all felt quieter somehow, like I was seeing it through new eyes. Hey Ryan. Long weekend, huh? Mason called, sliding up beside me. Yeah, I said, smiling. Busy but good. Good? Mason raised an eyebrow, smirking. You sound calm. Almost mature. Scary man. I laughed, shaking my head. I've grown a little, I guess. Mason nudged me playfully. A little? Dude, you're practically an adult now. Did you write a manual on how to survive family drama or something? Maybe, I said, grinning. Or maybe I just realized that anger doesn't solve anything. Mason whistled. Wow. Deep stuff. Ryan Carter, philosopher. Who would have thought? I shrugged, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. I learned a lot this weekend. About family, about myself, about controlling what I can instead of resenting what I can't. He clapped me on the shoulder. Sounds like you've leveled up. Honestly, I'm impressed. I still have a lot to figure out, I admitted. But I feel more capable, more aware. I want to do better, not just at school but with everyone in my life. Look at you, all responsible and reflective, Mason teased. Next, you'll be giving life advice to the entire grade. I laughed, shaking my head. Maybe not that far. But I do want to focus on what matters. Academics, family, friends, and me. My choices, my actions. Mason nodded. I get it. That's real growth, man. Not just grades, not just clever moves. Real stuff. Walking into my first class, I thought about the past few weeks. The trip exclusion, the small acts of kindness, the conversations with Dad and Laura, even watching Tyler Morgan face consequences, all of it shaped me. I realized I could assert myself without bitterness. I could influence my life without resentment. Olivia Parker passed by, giving me a quick nod. I smiled in return, feeling confident, grounded. No jealousy, no envy, just calm acknowledgement that life moves forward. During English, Samantha Green handed back our essays. I received mine with a faint smile, noticing her encouraging glance. "Keep writing, Ryan. You're on the right track," her eyes seemed to say. I thought of my journal, the way writing had clarified my emotions and guided me toward understanding. By lunchtime, I was seated with Mason, chatting casually. "You really changed this weekend, huh?" he said, fork halfway to his mouth. "I guess," I said quietly, feeling a sense of pride. "I handled things differently. I tried to act thoughtfully instead of letting anger take over. It worked, and I feel stronger for it." Mason shook his head, grinning. "Man, you make it sound easy. But I know it wasn't. You faced family, your own bitterness, and came out better. Respect." "Thanks," I said, smiling. "It wasn't easy. But I learned that the control I need isn't over anyone else. It's over me. My reactions, my choices, my growth." Mason leaned back, smirking. "So, the new Ryan Carter. Wise, calm, considerate, and ready to take over the world?" I laughed, chest warm. "Maybe not the world. But I'm ready to take on my life. Step by step. One choice at a time." Later, walking home, sunlight warm on my face, I thought of Evan and Chloe. Their laughter over the weekend, their smiles when they saw my little surprises, the subtle acknowledgement from Dad and Laura, it all reminded me that connection isn't forced. It's nurtured through presence, thoughtfulness, and consistency. I breathed in deeply, feeling the weight of the past lift. Tragedy had shaped me, exclusion had taught me patience, and betrayal had guided me toward understanding. I wasn't bitter anymore. I wasn't sidelined. I was present, aware, and ready. Mason's voice echoed in my mind jokingly, "Grown-up Ryan, huh? Watch out, world." I smiled to myself, shaking my head, and felt a quiet laughter bubble up. Yes, I had grown. Not perfect, not all-knowing, but stronger, clearer, and fully in charge of my path. The weekend's lessons lingered in my chest, gentle but powerful, a steady reminder. I could face challenges, handle betrayal, and still emerge thoughtful and whole. I looked at the streets, the people passing by, the sun reflecting off the windows. Life was moving forward, and now so was I. And for the first time it felt right.